Sorry, I've got something in my eye. I do have something in my eye. It's dusty in here, and so I'm trying to get it out with a glass of water. But yes, this is an unedited chat. Lamentations, but not as big of lamentations as I think that we were all expecting. Nice to see that the Libs didn't absolutely decimate Labor down to 7 seats like they did last time that they gained office. They comfortably won this time. I'll take it. You know what that means? And mark my words, the incoming Premier is not going to be very popular in about a week. He's already not popular when he got elected. Have you seen that? That Stephen Miles' preferred Premier just kept going up and up and up, and he's kept going down and down and down. As you saw in the last 2 weeks, a bunch of Queenslanders waking up and realising, why are we electing this man? Is he promising to do anything? Seems to be stumbling and fumbling with the slightest bit of pressure. And I do mean the slightest. Isn't it incredible? And I think that we all need to give huge credence to the true hero of the Queensland election, which of course was Robbie Katter. What an absolute king. I can't believe that he did it in the last 2 weeks, just announcing, yeah, I'm putting in a private member's bill for abortion. And then obviously everybody online copping the flack, but he doesn't give a fuck because he's a real man. You know why he brought in that private member's abortion bill though? It was a political strategy, because you have to understand the Katters hate the Liberals far more than they do the Labor Party. That's their real competition up there. And so they just wanted to screw them over immediately. And it did. It really fucked him on the campaign trail, because over and over the press was saying, look, can you please just say that you don't support abortion? Supporting abortion or not supporting it is not part of the plan. We have a plan. Can we see the plan? It's coming. Did you see that? And then the last 2 days he did finally release his plan. What was it? Like a $7 billion black hole. Yeah, superior economic managers as always. Not that anyone cared. Not that anyone cared about the economy, because if they did care about the economy, they would have been voting for Stephen Miles. We pointed out in this video before, incredible economic figures. You had a bunch of people in the Vox Pop coming out and saying, I'm voting because the economy's terrible. What, the place with some of the best economic figures on earth? I love the election Vox Pop, because you realise that pretty much anything that we do here is completely immaterial. It's just a bunch of stunned mullets sitting out there. I'm just generally vibing that the LNP should be in. What's your reasoning? Stephen Miles doesn't have a plan. What are you talking about? That's all he's been spruiking his entire time, his huge plan. David Christoffoli said the word plan more. I'll give you that. If your idea of what is a plan is the word, then yes, David Christoffoli is your man. But it was over and over again. You saw that people just had this general vibe that it was time for Miles to go. Couldn't really articulate why. Would say something like crime, figures completely disproving that. Doesn't matter. The point is, the vibe was off. Why was the vibe off? Well, if you've been watching our content for the last 6 months, we've been explaining time and time again, the Labor is in real hot water. And why? Because of the coal tax, because they increase royalties for your resources. And on that one point, Labor must go. This is why every time I see all of the whinge merchants out there saying, why don't we get money for our resources? Never really giving props to Stephen Miles for getting money for your resources, mind you, just whining that federal Labor doesn't do it. Never pointing out that you had Whitlam and Rudd trying to do exactly that, and they both got toppled, cooed for trying to do that. And then when somebody does it in Queensland, no props for it either. Yeah, you can say that that election was about crime. You really can. The press can sit there and constantly just show a bunch of cars getting stolen and say this immediate thing needs to be taken down. But let's be honest about this. The reason that they are saying that is because it is a far more palatable reason to get rid of a government, instead of just saying, oh my God, you're getting money for basic services. We can't have that. They have to come up with another reason to implant into people's heads. This is how media manipulation works. I mean, yes, the press has always been particularly anti-Labor in Queensland. It's no secret how much of the press Murdoch owns up there and how much influence he has on what gets on the 6 o'clock news that night. So, you can say that it was about all of these other reasons. There's going to be a lot of cars in the comments that are going to disagree. But we all know that that's the reason that Queensland Labor is out now. It is not because of their governance. It is not because of their policies. It's because they dared tax your resources correctly. Sad, isn't it? I'll tell you what the nice little silver lining is to all of this, though. That should have been way more of a wipeout than it was. And the fact that it wasn't a huge wipeout means that that sort of nexus is becoming less effective. There was this sort of wake up in the last 2 minutes of the election where people were sort of slowly, hypnotically marching towards the elections thinking, what the fuck am I doing? There was a bit of that. And I honestly think it might have even been put into minority government. Again, not everything has been tallied yet, but 1 million people did vote postal, so they weren't going on the day. And if they voted on the day, man, Labor would have won a lot more seats. That was because those people were voting 2 weeks ago as opposed to on the day. So that's good news in itself as well. So in general, okay, yeah, as these people that usually vote for One Nation would say, Australia's waking up. They sort of are. I'm happy about it. I am also happy about the fact that it seemed like there was a really good ground game for Stephen Miles. There were people that were very energized to get him elected. So anybody out there, whether you sent memes, whether you went on the phone banks, whether you knocked on doors, even if you convinced your mum and dad, you were a result of that. Us not losing as bad. And look, I think you give it another 10 years and you have all these oldies die off and we get replaced with it, you'll have other imposter parties take over. But the point is that we won't have the LNP. And that in itself is a huge win. I still think that we're going to be influenced by dark money greatly. I still think that, as you can see video on Friday, there is this new nexus that is rising that sort of does the same effect as Murdoch, but in a less concerted way. That's something to look out for in the future. But take note, this is sort of the beginning of the end of that concentration of just unelecting a Labor government for no good reason. That's not happening look, it's happening now, but it's happening less. That's what I'm saying. So, points to Stephen Miles for it. Makes a lot of sense to keep him up as opposition leader, especially because immediately people are going to realize, why the fuck did we elect this guy? He is not going to be popular. In 2 weeks, he's not going to be popular. He's going to be instantly hated. It is the LNP. You have to understand that electing the LNP is kind of like electing a fringe party. It's not really a mainstream parliamentary party. The Nationals' DNA is too seeped into it. It is an extremist party that is getting elected. So it's not going to last. It's just sad that them being elected did their purpose, which is to stop things like you getting money for your resources and them building one of the most ambitious energy transition programs in the world. Like, that's all out the door now. That's gone. And that's what that election was really about. And that's what that true indicator to everybody in politics was, that this is not happening. So they still have the power to do that. And that is a huge thing to lament. But I will say, the silver lining is there. I'll tell you what else is a huge silver lining as well. Thank you so much to everybody who donated to the Wombat Trust. Good on ya. I saw so many big donations as well. I was really taken aback by it. We got to the number that we wanted, which was about the 60,000 mark. It's already over that. And so now that we are at the 60,000 mark, it seems like you guys really like this idea. Just in case you haven't seen that video yet, as a quick little, explainer. That fund is going to be used to pay for admin costs for a bunch of lawyers that want to do pro bono work for an environmental cause, but they don't want to be out of pocket. Fair enough. So we are going to cover those costs, the admin costs, the printing costs, submission costs, all that kind of stuff. This is a good deal for a lot of lawyers. A good deal for a bunch of big firms that need to train up a bunch of lawyers and, just work on that. They do this pro bono stuff, and this makes it really enticing. So we do have the money to get a couple of those up and running. So lawyers, come at me, or come at XD Law. If you've got a case, let us know. Be very happy to dump other people's money onto it. Well, look, I did chuck some of my own money into it too. Just saying. And I was also the biggest donor so far. But, it's not about who gave the most. It's that you gave what you could, hey? That's what it's all about. And so I and XD actually both think, let's aim bigger. Because think about this. Imagine if we got that to 200 grand. if we got that fund to 200 grand, you know what that would mean? That would mean that we could probably run up to 10 of those cases at once. And then it could really be kind of like an angel investor program where, oh yeah, 9 of them failed, 1 of them got up. And that one is better than none. It's way better than none, because that opens up a crack in precedents for there to be more victories in the future. This is what that fund is designed to do. Just open up little cracks all throughout the legal system so that every time that you do, the door's a little bit wider and you can walk through on that. So if you want to see entire ecosystems saved, if you want to see species saved, chuck a couple of bucks into the Wombat Trust. If we get to 200,000, I'll save you some fucking spotted quails. So thank you so much for those that did donate. Really appreciate it if you donated to Friendly Jordies so that we could continue to expand the team and we could do more of these good work things. So make sure that you sign up to Friendly Jordies as well. The Patreon link is in the bottom. I think we do a lot of good work. And I think that the more that we expand, the more good work that we could do. And if you agree with that, come on, shout us a coffee a month. That's all it costs. But also, chuck into the Wombat Trust. Also, anybody that volunteered in the Queensland election, you have my blessing. Now, here's something else. A little surprise entrant to this video. Ooh, what could it be? You guys remember ScoJo? You don't? Well, just watch the video I did on him back in 2023. Oh, wait, that's been removed due to a defamation complaint. Well, just watch my video on the defamation complaint sent by ScoJo and... two's been removed as well. Well, let me just refresh my memory by watching the video about the complaint on someone else's channel. If you're in Australia, you can't find that video on my channel anymore because YouTube took it down after they received a legal complaint. We'll get to what I think about YouTube censorship later on. But first, let me just refresh my memory by rewatching the video on someone else's channel.
People that hear these stories that think it's fucking a bit out of line to be talking about that stuff, I get it. It's funny. He's talking to an absolute fucking psychopath who's responsible for multiple mass graves throughout the Middle East.
The original video was about a guy called Scott Jones, a soldier from the 2nd Commando Regiment, and his hilarious social media presence, where he did everything from joking about committing war crimes to hosting a podcast where he ham-fistedly got his friend to admit to lying to the Australian Defence Force Investigative Service about uniformed Afghan police officers, apparently claiming those cops weren't wearing uniforms. I mean, you think Trump on Rogan was a legendary podcast here. Imagine if ScoJo was hosting that. What a Democrat's wet dream. Trump would admit to everything. I was on Epstein's Island, let me say. He likes him young. Fantastic guy though. One of the best. Beautiful island too. Very saintly. This is why I'm very upset that ScoJo took that first video as me trying to scold and cancel him. No. Scott, I'm a fan. You're funny. You're a great conversationalist. You get people to open up. And even though you got my first video taken down and threatened to sue me, in a gesture of goodwill, I'm gonna do you a favor. Scott, if you paid for the defo lawyers who threatened me, I think you got ripped off. You should ask for a refund. In fact, if you've got Paul James or Mick Bainbridge from Operational Legal to do any other work for you in the past, I'd be very concerned. The threat you got them to send me well and truly demonstrated that they have no idea on defamation law. In fact, it was automatically void because it didn't include particulars. They sold you down the river. They clearly don't practice defamation, yet they wanted the work anyway. And this desperation for work seems to be a pattern, as I've also stumbled on some more concerning allegations surrounding those lawyers and their supposedly veteran-centered firm. Basically, the directors of Operational Legal, Mick Bainbridge and Paul James, are respectively the president and a director of RSL New South Wales, which is interesting because if you're running a law firm that supposedly specialises in veterans issues, you'd think if you're also running RSL New South Wales, a fair few conflicts of interest would arise. I don't know why I'm acting coy. The point is they did. And I'm going to have a nice long look at them in an upcoming video. But in the meantime, if you've had any experiences with this law firm, please reach out to the Proton Mail for this one too. friendlyjordies@protonmail.com.